This tutorial is going to show you how to do holding patterns and tell you what a hold is. That's a hold, and that's a hold. But wait, there's more. Holding patterns are used to place aircraft in a confined and controlled area due to weather or heavy volume at a destination. It's also used as course reversal in lieu of a procedure turn on an instrument approach, and also used as part of a missed approach procedure on an instrument approach. Here are some facts about holds. The holding fix is at the end of the inbound leg. Standard turns are to the right, non-standard turns are to the left. If no direction is given in the clearance, then use right-hand turns. When ATC gives a clearance for a hold, they will tell you to hold as published, which will be indicated on an en route chart or approach plate, or they will assign you a hold over a fix that does not have a published hold. For example, that might read, hold south of whatever fix on whatever radial. They'll give you a leg length, direction of turns, and an expect further clearance time. For a precise example, TBM November 12345, hold south of the Terre Haute VOR on the 180 degree radial. Expect further clearance, 4-5 minutes past the hour. Time now, 3-2 minutes past the hour. In the previous clearance, no time was given, so we have to assume 1 minute inbound leg. No direction was given, so we assume non-standard right-hand turns. Here we have the hold that we were just given in the example. The dark gray line is the 180 degree radial. The inbound and the outbound legs, the fix goes at the end of the inbound leg. There are 3 types of entries: direct, teardrop, and parallel. To figure out the type of entry, we need to draw a line down from the VOR on the 180 degree radial, and then extend it back past the VOR. Next, we need to make a line opposite the side of the hold, across the hold, and then come down 20 degrees. From there, draw a line back through the VOR and out the other side. We now have 3 sections: teardrop, parallel, and direct. The first type of entry is the teardrop. We're going to fly 30 degrees off the outbound heading towards the holding pattern for 1 minute, then make a right turn and intercept the course inbound. This will make a teardrop shape. We're currently approaching the VOR from the northwest. Once we cross the fix, we're going to start a timer for 1 minute and turn to a heading of 150. Once those 2 things are done, we need to spin the inbound course. The inbound course is 360. We have about 30 seconds remaining. The whole point of this entry and all the entries is to keep us inside of a protected area as we're getting established in the hold. As we approach the 1 minute mark, we're going to make a right turn to a heading of about 330 to intercept the 360 degree course to the VOR. Another thing we do in real life is report entering the hold. So when we cross over the VOR, we would say, home and approach, TBM, November 12345 is entering the hold over Terre Haute VOR at the current time, 3,000 feet. And after we're done doing the hold, you also have to report leaving the hold. You would just say, home and approach, TBM, November 12345 is leaving the hold over Terre Haute. And that would be more than likely followed up by ATC giving you a vector for an approach. And you can see the mistake I made on that. I rolled out on 360. I should have stopped at 330. I've gone back to 330. And as the course comes in, then we'll turn back to 360. Now that the needle's starting to center, we'll turn back to heading 360. From this point, we'll fly back to the VOR and then make a right turn heading 180. The next type of entry is a parallel entry. We're going to fly over the fix, and we're going to turn to the outbound heading and parallel the inbound course. We'll fly outbound for 1 minute. While we're flying outbound, we'll turn the OBS, or the course, to the inbound course, which is 360. And we'll make a left turn to our intercept heading, in this case approximately 330 degrees. I've drawn the hold entry diagram on the MFD. You can see we're east-northeast of the VOR, and we're going to use a parallel entry. I wasn't using flaps before. They are down right now. The computer froze while I was filming this, and I restarted, and they started by default in this position. But it's not going to hurt anything if you do want to use the takeoff position. And the speed limit for flaps in the takeoff position is 178 knots. We've now crossed the fix, turning left to a heading of 180, and we need to start a time for 1 minute. And you can see the red line on the MFD that indicates the 180 degree radial or the 360 degree inbound course to the station. And flying outbound, it's a good time to put in the inbound course, so we need to spin 360 on the course. When you're assigned a hold by ATC or you see a hold on a chart, it's always going to show a radial. You're not flying the radial, you're always going to fly the opposite of that, and that's going to go in the course. So if you're flying a hold on the 180 degree radial, you're going to select 360 on the course. The trick for that, to make this real easy, if they give you the 180 degree radial, spin the tail of the course to 180. There's 1 minute. We're making our left turn to approximately 330 degrees to intercept the inbound course. Course is alive. Now we can turn right back to heading 360. Like I said before, you can do this with heading, or you can press the nav button. But the closer you get to the VOR, the more the airplane might turn left and right, trying to keep the needle centered as the VOR sensitivity increases. And that's pretty much it for the parallel entry. All we're going to do is fly to the fix, then make a right turn to a heading of 180 for our outbound leg. So we'll skip the rest of that. We will do a full hold here in a little bit. For right now, I'm just focusing on just the entries. The final type of hold entry is a direct entry. This one's easier. We're going to fly over the fix because we're going direct to it anyway. Turn to the outbound heading 180. Beam the fix or wings level, whichever occurs last. We're going to start a timer. Go outbound for 1 minute. While we're going outbound, we're going to spin our inbound course 360. After 1 minute, we're going to make a right turn and intercept the inbound course. Here's our hold entry diagram one more time. Anywhere on the bottom sector, there's two actually, but anywhere on the bottom half, you're going to be using a direct entry. As soon as you get the hold drawn out and figure out what type of entry, know what heading you're going to turn to after you hit the fix. Also know what your inbound course is going to be. You don't want to fly up to the hold, hit the fix, and then not know where you're going to turn to. As we cross the VOR, the to from flag is going to change from a to a from. When that happens, start a right turn to a heading of 180 for our outbound leg. And after we've put 180 in our heading, we can spin 360 our inbound course with the course knob. As you can probably see by now, we only use the VOR on the inbound leg. The outbound leg is just heading. And as we go abeam the fix, we need to start a time, fly outbound for 1 minute. When there is wind, we do need to correct the outbound heading. Right now the wind is only 2 knots off our right side. I did not add any correction, but if it was say 20 knots, we might want to go 10 degrees to the right into the wind. We don't want to get blown into the inbound course, nor do we want to be blown far away from it. Also, if we had a strong tailwind right now, let's say 10, 20, 30 knots, we would reduce our outbound time. Instead of 1 minute, we might go 40 seconds or 45, it just depends. You just want to adjust your outbound leg so that your inbound leg is 1 minute. As we come up on 1 minute, spin the heading bug right to a heading of about 330 to intercept. And I'm starting a timer here. I'm calling this wings level. We're going to time our inbound leg. Again, all we're doing here is flying the VOR, keeping the needle centered until we hit the fix. In which case we'll make a right turn to a heading of 180 again, plus or minus for any wind. That hold entry is complete. Now we'll move on and do another hold entry and an actual hold. Holding patterns are also done in lieu of a procedure turn. This approach does not have a procedure turn. You can see there's no procedure turn barb. It just has a hold. We're going to do the entry, make the turn for course reversal, get established on final, and start the approach. We're going direct to the VOR. The needle's nearly centered. We are northeast of the VOR. You can see on the bottom of the HSI. And if you look northeast of the VOR on the approach plate, we're in the teardrop section. We're going to do a teardrop entry. So for the teardrop entry, we're going to turn 30 degrees toward the holding pattern. The outbound heading on the holding pattern is 218. To turn toward it, we're going to add 30. We're going to go 248 on the outbound heading. I already started the time over the fix. That was a lot to say. We're already 20 seconds in. We're going to go outbound for 1 minute. While we're going outbound for the 1 minute, we want to spin the inbound course, which is 038. I am doing the approach at the same time. Once we cross the fix, we can come down to 3,300 feet. I have fast forwarded this to save a little bit of time. We're now turning to our intercept heading of about 065. Course is coming in. Now we're going to go to 038. We may have to bracket left and right a little bit to center the needle. You can now see on the MFD, the direction we're flying to the VOR correlates with the direction of the inbound course on the hold. So for this example, using a hold in lieu of a procedure turn, we're doing the approach. We are established. We're just outside the VOR, gears down, and we have full flaps. And we're going to continue this approach down to 2,040 feet, which we can't set 2,040. We're going to take down to 2,100. Since this video doesn't really apply to approaches, I'm going to fast forward through this part. But we will pick it up after the missed approach, because part of the missed approach will end at a hold. And that's where we'll do the intercept and a full hold. Now that we've reached the missed approach point, I've added power, climb to takeoff pitch, flaps to take off, pause rate of climb, gear up, and then flaps up. And while recording this, I just caught a mistake. The missed approach procedure is climb to 4,000 and then left turn to the VOR. I turned a little bit early. As we approach the VOR with the needle centered, we can see we're on the 020 degree radial. 020 looks like this, the big red line. That puts us in the parallel sector. We're going to do a parallel entry. We've hit the fix. We're turning to the outbound heading of 218. And start at a time, we're going to go for 1 minute. And while going 1 minute outbound, we need to spin the 038 course. Now we're making a turn back to the right into the hold. We're going to turn to a heading of 078. I overshot the course a little bit here. As you can see, the screen was zooming in and out because I moved the cursor off a heading just a little too much, so I was messing with that. Otherwise, I would have been on course. The hard part of the hold is done. All we're doing now is turning outbound to the left to a heading of 218. Once we're beamed the station, or wings level, whichever occurs last, start a time, go out for 1 minute. Once we hit that 1 minute, we're going to turn left and intercept a 038 course inbound. And that's it. That's all there is to a hold. Here's an actual hold. This is from the hold earlier over Terre Haute on the 180 degree radial. Holds are all the same once you do the entry. After that, they're identical. Either you're making a left turn or a right turn. Again, on this hold, the inbound course is 360, the outbound heading is 180. We're in a right turn to a heading of 180. Once we pass the station or wings level, whichever occurs last, we're going to start our timer and go outbound for 1 minute. And I'm starting my time as we roll wings level. We want this inbound leg to be 1 minute. So as soon as we cross the VOR, we should see 1 minute on our timer. And we're crossing the VOR right there, and our timer says 106, so we could shorten our outbound leg by 6 seconds and see what that does on the next inbound leg.